This thing is huge, a little too big for the camera. And it's ironic because it's a Microman robot man. Now, back in the 70s when Microman and Micronauts were a thing, there was a robot called Robotman, which the figure fit into the chest, the regular size Micronaut figure, or Microman figure if you're in Japan would fit in the chest. It was called Biotron in America. There was just one. It was, again, called Biotron. They had Phobos, which is basically the same thing with a different head and different colors. Well, they kind of went with the letter scheme. This one is actually Endeavor. Dean is the other one. Dean is a little bit more, I don't know, less, like, this is more tanky looking. He's very dusty because he has been sitting on a shelf for a very, very long time. But he's got a lot of nice little features. Now, he is held together by magnets, and he is from the year 1999, so he's fairly old. He's about 24 years old now. The original Micronauts, I still have those, a lot of those. They're even older. They're from the 70s, of course. So some of the things about this particular Microman, Robotman, is that he does come apart into separate vehicles. So if you notice when I was opening up the legs, for instance, what does that look like to you? Well, we got a little tank over here, and you can convert it to where a guy can sit in it. Over here we have, well, equipment to build things with. On this side we have a massively huge gun on his shoulder. And I think there's something about, I know that Dean has these like robot, or these motorcycles he turns into. This one, he has a lot more like construction equipment, I guess you can say. Like here's a grappling hook. And then things fall off of this because it's so old and it hasn't been played with much. I just, you know, I do like this, but I don't play with it that much. It's very fiddly and kind of like, you know, every time you touch it, something falls off of it. So it's kind of frustrating in that aspect. So the thing that fell off the back, there's supposed to be two of those actually. There's probably blending in, I'm just not seeing it. There's supposed to be two of this right here. It's like, goes right there. There are magnet ports that actually still work with like Baron Karza and Force Commander all over this thing. His arm is actually a magnet ball there, a magnet port here. You actually have to push it. It's on some spring-loaded thing because it fell off while ago. So yeah, there's supposed to be two of this. It may still be in the box, but you can see the joysticks you pull up whenever you're having somebody to ride this part. And again, I haven't played with it much at all. It's just been sitting on the shelf looking really amazing looking. And I want to say this is a color variation of the original one. Like they were more red and black and everything. They made a lot of color variations to try to, you know, make profit because these things are really well made. Didn't cost very much, to be honest with you. I got it from a friend who was living in Japan at the time. So thank you to Rick Ruff. He was my, I guess, pen pal back then, so to speak. I do like the way the head looks as well. Got dust webs coming off of it. So let's take the head off and take a closer look at it. Very anime looking. I very much like this. Now, I don't know anybody who does any reviews on the Microman. It kind of came in that time when, I don't know, it seemed like everything just wasn't there. I know that at the time, Transformers were going somewhere in limbo between Beast Wars and the new machines, Cybertron, whatever. In America at that time, Beast Wars were still kind of running, but it was kind of running out. In Japan, at the same time, there was something called Car Robot, which later became RID in America. That was where the machines finally returned. So there was an in-between phase, and I got some of those figures as well from Rick. So let's look at the back a little bit more. There's a lot of little things on the back I want you to look at other than just the upper part of the back, the lower part of the back as well. We got some treads here that are majorly dusty. We got little tiny wheels because the legs do come off, and I'm afraid if I take them off, they're going to get too used to it. But there's wheels on both sides because these do become vehicles, which is really weird to think this is, I don't know, maybe it's, I know it comes apart. I don't know if this is going to be a vehicle part. Like I said, I never really played with it that much. I just like it looking like a big old robot. Okay, so let's pretend for a minute we're going to transform this into a vehicle for Microman. Now, obviously, man, it's starting to fall apart. My fingers right here. We got to take some things apart here. And hopefully not too many things come apart. All right. So evidently, I do need to take that off and reverse it a little bit. Oh no, I don't have to take anything off. Okay, great. I didn't even notice that happened. Like I said, I never really played with this as much. Okay. So now I want to say this becomes a seat because there's the part you put into the back while they're sitting there. Okay, right there. There's the seat. I don't think that's going to be a harness for him though. And then, let's see. I'm thinking something about this folds up or something. There's a combination here somewhere. And it's also, it reminds me a lot of Musenbein, which is a very creative play. Like you can build almost anything you want to out of it. It's not like preset or predetermined what you're going to build. So it kind of reminds me of that as well. So here we have a land mover. And if you've ever had Micronauts, there was actually a Star Searcher or some kind of spaceship that had one of these on it. So it kind of reminds me of that because it also had one of these on it too. So there's like one of the legs becomes this. And you can put the Micronaut figure in there. Or the Microman figure. Remember back then they were 8mm instead of the 10mm ones. Or centimeter. Alright, so for the tank. Again, I'm just going to take off the foot. The treads are still going to be right there. The turret goes forward. And then let's see, how do I get this seat out? Probably some easy little trick that I'm not doing. I just got my fingernail, so that doesn't help much too. There we go. Guess you just have to take it out, put this back down. There's the seat. Oh man, this has been not moved in so long. I'm a little bit afraid it's going to have gold plastic syndrome somehow. All right, so there's the seat for the Microman. All right, camera, there. So you put the Microman in there and he rides in a tank. All right, I feel like I should have found my Microman figures to go with him. All right, so anyway, maybe I'll play around and do another video to give a little bit more explanation on this. For now, if you want to see more, let me know. All right, here we go with the Microman. We're driving the tank. His peg goes right into the back right there. And his feet go inside. Right there. All right, there's the tank, which is also one of the legs. All right, an earth mover being piloted by one of the original Micronauts. So there we go. He doesn't quite fit too well. Okay, so another feature I talked about, but I didn't have a Microman handy. I found this little guy finally. He has inside of his chest a place to put a pilot or a figure or symbiotic host. The port on his back plugs into the port right here, so it holds him nice and steady. And then you can close it back up so where you can see out the top. So it's very similar to the Biotron, but Biotron had an entirely clear front. You just, almost like a coffin you just put on top of him. Still trying to figure out how to make these into something on the side. So stay tuned. All right, for the best of my understanding, from my understanding ability, you see how these are meant to hold things in place so it can brace whenever you're picking something up like this. I'm thinking this is just the way it is. He sits right there. That's clearly a chair. He's got the crane. He's got some elevation to him. He can pick something up. You got the little thing that turns it to let it go down or back up. right there. So that's the crane. Okay, so the other arm, this is the gun mode. Best of my knowledge, I'm just making this up. I haven't looked at the website. I plan to go over there and see if I got it correctly. I'm just trying to guess at it. But this would stabilize it when you set it on something. Hey, it does a good job of doing that. So clearly this is a seat. I had to move the gun from one peg to another to give him room to sit. And then these things right here actually is where his foot straps are. I don't know if the arm should stay there or not. I just decided it looked better without it. Although with it, I guess you got some more guns, but I'm not quite sure. There's probably a lot of things you can do with this. The one thing about Microman is it was like the precursor to Transformers. So there was a lot of fun taking things apart, rearranging them. In America, it was called the interchangeable world of the Micronauts. I don't know what it was exactly in Japan other than Microman, but I'm sure that playability was just as important. The one thing that's a mystery to me, I know that this does something, but I can't quite get it into that format. And I'm afraid I'm going to break it because I've had that luck with old stuff. So there's somehow or another this makes a flying bike thing something. I feel like this needs to come off right here. Maybe it doesn't because he could cradle his legs down there pretty nicely. There's his seat. He straddles it. This is the front of the original thing. The head's right here. Again, I don't know. It's been so long. Like I said, this is from, there's so many pieces that open too. It's like, there's so much you can do to this. I just not quite sure. I guess your imagination is supposed to guide you, but when you get my age, imagination is not something you come by too easily. So maybe I'll check out the microforever.com and find out what I'm supposed to be doing exactly before I end up breaking something, and I don't want to do that. Because again, I feel like this right here, this piece comes up and goes up here or something. Oh well. Let me know below if you have one of these and if you've had fun with yours. Evidently, I didn't have as much fun as I should have back in the day, or else I kind of think I would remember more. I'm pretty sure I've done it at least once or twice just to do it, you know? Oh well. Okay, so according to Paul's site, this is what the chest piece makes, basically. I don't know why there's wheels here if there's nothing right here that's going to roll. So that's what he has on there. And I know I have instructions somewhere, but who knows if I still have those at all. Taking these off, whew, I was so afraid because of gold plastic syndrome. Look at the color. It's pretty close. I was just afraid it was going to shatter where the pin hits it. And it does make more sense because look at that. The black right here and the black right here, it does look exactly like a seat. Kind of like on a one of those Star Wars, like something from Star Wars. So this is kind of a weird flying, you know, thing. I don't know what you would call it. And his feet do comfortably go there. So yeah, I mean, it's all good. Don't know what the good the windshield is because it's not going to break much wind off of him. He does have the, you know, the seal on his face that keeps him safe in space anyway. So I guess a little wind won't be hurting him. So that is what this looks like according to Paul's website. And I got everything else pretty much right. I mean, the only thing that he kept the arm on the piece right here that I took off because I thought it just looked better. And the head, there's no usually use for the head in any of these modes. I guess you can snap it on there if you want to have a little sidekick like, "Oh, I'm so glad you took me along with you. No problem, bud." So yeah, they can hang out together. There is another piece that goes with this. Hey, that makes work. There's one of these somewhere. Again, you know, these things fall off when you're trying to transport them. So it's at the bottom of some bucket, I guarantee you. Because Microman is one of the things I said, no. I got rid of so much stuff. Most of it was American stuff. And I was like, no, Microman stays. This was not only a gift from a friend. Well, we traded. But it's unique. I don't think anybody else has it. I've never seen anybody else put this on YouTube. If they are, I've yet to find them. So, at least not in English. I find videos all the time, but different languages I don't even understand. And it's not always Japanese, so it's not like, oh, you just don't understand Japanese. No, it's different languages. So people from like China or something, which, yeah. I'm not sure if this is like an air brake or what. It's got like a little magnet point in there. It's a lot of really, I don't know, I guess you could just be more creative. If you want to add arms to it, you can add arms to it. You can even put the arms on the front. If you want to have the cannon arm thing, stick that on the front. There's a lot of fun little creative things you can do with this. But I'm going to put it back into the original mode, and I even may stick him in it, and I may stick it on my shelf. And even though it's going to probably fall off, like last night, I was worried about Tom Tom, and he's one of the cats. He has not been coming. He's one of the babies. We have 2 babies. He's only 3 years old, which is still a baby, I think. But he was hanging out. He's been getting in with the bad gang, I bet. I don't know what happened to him. I just had these thoughts in my head, like, oh gosh, he's probably got run over or something. But anyway, so something crashed last night. I woke up and went, Tom Tom, Tom Tom. And it was actually somebody fell off the shelf over here. I found it this morning. I was like, oh, okay, that's what it was. So if this falls off the shelf, it's not going to go crash. It's going to crash, shatter everywhere. I mean, that's why I don't really trust this on the shelf. I've had it in a box for a long time. But hey, comment below if you've had these or have been interested in these. I'm not selling them, so don't go, hey, I'm interested, I'll buy it. No, you won't. Not for me. You know, when the rapture happens, you're more than welcome to it. I won't be needing it after that. We'll be gone. I enjoy the things that I have, and I have the things that I enjoy. But when it comes down to it, everything you have is a tool, which is a good thing, or it's an idol. That's something I heard a long time ago. I was about to say tool or toy, but that only makes the tease, you know, make it important. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I never really messed with it too much. I don't remember making it into this mode. But again, Dean was my favorite of these 2. I like Endeavor's head though. Dean is the other one. He's like, it has A, B, C, D. So Ace, Baron. Baron's my favorite one out of the 3 smaller magnet robots. They're bigger than this guy, but smaller. They're more like actually if you have Baron Karza and Force Commander, they're a lot like those. Aaron. Ace is the red one. B, Baron is black. And then C, what is it, Cross? He's the blue one. He's not my favorite. My favorite one's definitely Baron. He just looks really cool. He's got like a head that looks like a sentinel or something. He just looks, I'm going to find them and make some videos of them. I also have the knockoffs of them, which, again, thanks to Rick Ruff, he found knockoffs as well. So in Japan, they even have knockoffs of their own things. You know, it is what it is. The knockoffs have different colors, different parts. So it's interesting. They're not as good at magnets, and the plastic quality is way cheaper. If I can find my knockoffs, they're probably going to be shattered in pieces. They're just so old. And I'm a little bit afraid this one, but hey, it held together, which I really thought, see the color of this? I really thought this was going to shatter when I was trying to pull it apart. I was really afraid. All right, well, thanks for watching, and comment below. I really like to find out there's other Microman collectors out there. Again, Micronauts was my childhood favorite toy. You know, like this guy right here. I think this is a reproduction. I'm not 100% sure because he doesn't see the originals don't have paint right there. They're just, you know, exposed metal. So I think this is one of the repros from Palisades toys. But I loved Micronauts when I was a kid. That was 2 of my favorite toys, other than the 8-inch Mega figures. And Transformers, when they got these size, everybody was like, wee, I hate this. It's like, gosh, I love these. This is awesome. Second, my 2 favorite toys from the 80s, Transformers and He-Man. So, and then the 90s, there's only one toy, Batman, the animated series. Yeah, there was some other stuff like Gundam. I'm talking about American toys. All right, so thanks for watching. Let me know below if you've collected these as well. Speaking of Micronauts, this is my favorite Micronaut figure. It's not this color. This is actually I'm pretty sure this is Palisades. Oh, it's also in the gold plastic. Yikes. Repro, but it's called Pharoid. He is actually my favorite Micronaut out of all the Micronaut figures. Even the Time Travelers, which are clear. Mine was blue and white. But the idea that he was Egyptian, that was so cool. Now it's time to put him back together and put him into his box. I need to get a clear box to keep him up there with, so in case he does crash to the ground, he won't fall to pieces, and I can display him. While I was clearing out one of these boxes to use, it was a bunch of parts in it from a parts video. I found this booklet in there so I can tell you what I was talking about. It's like a tiny little comic book. It's a micro little catalog. There's the Microman. My favorite one's Edison. He's the green one. They go with the alphabetical naming. The red one, which is always the leader in Japan, that's why Red Ranger is always leader, is Arthur. Edison's the last letter. There's B, C, and D. Honestly, I can't remember all the B, C, and D. I think one of them is water, which is, weirdly enough, one of the letters A, B, C, D. Don't know. Water, I think, is like really the letter B or something. But anyway. And then it shows something I can't even, it's so tiny, I can't even see it. That's the Super Microman right there. All right, there's like the little, they turn from bugs into vehicles. So kind of like Transformers, and then they can all combine together. They also make up like the beetle can become like an arm or something for this guy. There's the micro PlayStation, which I definitely have. Looks like a PlayStation. It's a battle station. It turns into a literal battle station. You know, like the controller becomes like a two cockpit, you know, for the figures to sit in and shoot people or shoot, you know, incoming enemies. The battle station or the PlayStation unfolds into like a station where the track around it and like a flying kind of thing going on. Here's the showing the combination between Ace, Baron, and I think Cross. There's Ace, there's Baron, there's Cross. I can't even see it. It's so tiny. Hopefully it comes out in this video. These are cool. These are like micro spy things, and the numbers tell you, like, they always number everything, which is really cool. It hides inside of a spicy noodles, like ramen noodles cups. And this is a beet squash. It's like a canned soda, I guess. And there's this one with it has a little alien UFO, and it comes inside of a bottle, like that drink that they have with a little ball in it. Kind of like that, bottle drink. I had those three somewhere. I can't even see what that is at the bottom right there. You tell me below. So this is a micro catalog, and I've got my regular reading glasses on, not my super duper high speed glasses, because they hurt my head whenever I try to walk. There's these little vehicles that are called micro cars or something. They turn into like robots into cars, sort of vehicles, and they go on the track. And these are all weapons. Like these three guys right here are the micro change brothers, something like that. Like guns and stuff. They can become the arms for these guys. See? Oh, here's one of my favorite: the bird and the puma and the leopard. I don't know what kind of animals they are exactly. They're cats, basically. They become the legs, and he becomes the body. And they can merge into one. Yeah, I had those too, but it's been a while. I can't remember much about it. I know they become... Oh, the couriers are really cool. So there's the couriers. One set, I think that's the super couriers. This is the original couriers, because they have little tiny balls that you can shoot out there. Oh, that's what those balls are from. I kept finding those everywhere. Now I know what they came from. So what are these, like beads that you put water in and they grow? No, it's actually those. And this one, I'm pretty sure this one is falling apart. It reminds me a lot of a Beast Wars, where it's three things that combine into one. Like, what is it, Tripredicus or something? It's almost the same characters and everything to it. And remember, Takara makes Transformers. Yeah, I think this one fell apart. Because I had parts and pieces somewhere. And here's where they're kind of giving you a preview of, like, you know, Dean and Endeavor. Oh, and there was an Courier one. I forgot about the giant Courier. I have him, but he's totally different looking. Yeah. I completely forgot about giant Courier. So Dean, Endeavor, and then giant Courier. I don't know if that's what they call him in Japan, but that's basically what he is. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's, I think, from the first book, or the first and second, because it had Super Microman in it. But yeah, I mean, definitely check out Paul's website. Maybe I'll try to put the link in there if I don't forget. I didn't know I was gonna make such a bunch of tiny little videos, and I'll just try to put them all together if I can.